Hi everyone, this is my third video about Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, about the third episode, Trial by Fire. I really like this episode. It's a really good episode. It's a really well written episode. Everything about it just comes together so well. Let's see, one of the things I really like is the acting in this episode. Power Rangers isn't usually known for, like, amazing acting, but in here, like, it really works. It really works really well. Anyway, it starts off with, let's see. I can't remember now if do we see the villains at the very beginning or do we see I don't remember. Well, anyway, the Rangers are talking about their hobbies and whatever. Then they're called away to a training mission. They're being timed in the training mission. They're going around doing like each of their whatever their profession is, whatever their um, I can't remember what the word is. Oh, well, anyway, they're all doing what their thing is, and so let's see. Carter goes in and he's shooting down these cardboard cutouts of monsters that look like they were drawn to be in Beetleborg comics, actually. Anyway, so he's shooting at all the monsters, and then let's see. He gets out, and Captain Mitchell says, "You got the shortest time, but the lowest score." Carter's confused. If I got the shortest time, isn't that good? And Mitchell doesn't tell him. He wants him to figure out this mistake by himself. Carter doesn't quite get it at first. He's really confused. So anyway, the monsters are talking about, or Vipra comes up with the idea that they need to blow up Mariner Bay from underground. So she takes a bunch of batlings and they're pounding these spikes into the ground that I guess will cause earthquakes or something. Yeah, that's what they do. And so anyway, the Rangers go down to stop her, whatever. And Vipra's acting is quite something. Even as a kid, the way she talked was so strange and unnatural. I did not get it. It's still really weird. Some people really love Vipra, but the way she talks is so strange. Like, when I was watching it again, what kind of hit me was maybe she went back and she was watching, like, some of the old female villains. Like, she was watching early Astronema or Divatox and trying to imitate the way they would talk. Except she can't really do it like them. Her voice is too soft. Even when she yells, it's soft, like she's whispering, kind of. My cat's jumping around up there. What are you doing over there? Okay, anyway. Carter takes on Vipra by himself. She starts a fire and flees. And then let's see. The spikes set off an earthquake. The roof is collapsing. There's some civilians over here. Carter's gonna go save the civilians, and Captain Mitchell says, "You have to put the fire out first." And Carter's like, argue, no. And it's kind of funny because it's wasting some time that's very important. But anyway, he goes over stubbornly, puts the fire out, then goes over, saves the people, and then he goes back to the Aqua Base. He's really ticked off at Mitchell, and I really like this scene. Like, he really feels angry, and Mitchell can't tell him exactly what his problem was because he needs Carter to figure it out for himself, because Carter is a leader now. He has to know what he's doing. Okay, so after the accident, Carter, let's see, one of the civilians, a little kid, was hurt when the roof collapses. He goes to the hospital to see the kid, and then he goes back to the training ground, or what was it? Oh yeah, no, he goes back to the scene where the roof collapsed. Or no, wait. Crap, now I can't remember. Where does he go first? Oh yeah, he goes back to the site. And let's see, he sees off in the corner there's this blanket covering something. He lifts it up, and there's these tanks. Explosive, gasoline, and he realizes why Captain Mitchell told him to put the fire out first, because if he hadn't put the fire out, the tanks would have exploded, everyone would be dead. Although the show can't say dead, he just said everyone would have been hurt, which is kind of a funny little censorship problem even in a situation like this. Anyway, then he goes to the training mission ground, and he sees when he was shooting the paintballs at the monster cutouts, they splattered all over the place, including on tanks labeled explosive. Mitchell shows up and gives them a little speech about how sometimes the obvious decision isn't always the right decision, or something like that. Carter figures it out, puts everything together, just in time to go fight a monster, and it's kind of pointless. They go fight the monster, beat the monster, the end, and it's kind of weird in episodes like this where the plot's really good, and then, oh right, it's Power Rangers, I have to have a monster in here, so they tack a little monster battle onto the end, and that's that. It's kind of weird. Anyway, really good episode. I really like it, and it's a good message in the episode. I went back and I watched the Japanese version from GoGo 5, and it's really weird how different the Japanese version is. One of the things that was really cool in the post-Zordon Saban era was how they adapted Sentai plots. They usually were like adapted fairly faithfully and adapted really well. They would keep a lot of the good stuff trimmed down, a lot of the slower parts or things that didn't quite work right. It didn't always work, but it was pretty good. It was a good way to adapt the show, and I liked it. This one, they really simplified everything that was going on in GoGo 5. It was very streamlined, and I think it actually worked a little better. In GoGo 5, the whole thing is about there's this other, like, there's a fire chief who, let's see, he's been at his desk for too long. He's been, like, out of action for too long. He doesn't know how to do things. So the Rangers go, and there's a situation, like in Lightspeed, where save the people or put the fire out. And the commander of GoGo 5 tells the Rangers, put the fire out, where the other guy, or something, I don't remember which was which. Anyway, he says, save the people, they say, put the fire out, and the Rangers are confused, and then later the Red Ranger goes to the guy, and he tells him about, I had to do this first because of this and this and this, and, like, it works, it's good, but I feel like having Carter be the one to learn that makes more sense. Although it is kind of weird because Carter was an active fireman at the time. They recruited him at a scene of a fire. So it's kind of weird that Carter wouldn't already know that, but I guess maybe you could say that he's still starting out or something. Anyway, I liked the episode, and it did a good job of adapting the Sentai plot. I don't really know why we used a different monster than they did. Who knows? That was a weird thing, that the monster is completely different. And let's see, anyway, after I watch the episode, I take notes, or usually I take notes while the episode is going on, and then I'll try to come up with an idea for a picture, and while I'm doing that, I'll go to Ranger Wiki and greenranger.com and look up trivia for the episode. And for this episode, Ranger Wiki had a very weird, like, just word salad thing in the trivia. I could not, for the life of me, figure it out. I think it was trying to compare something that happened in GoGo 5 to Lightspeed, but I could not figure it out. It was so just completely broken. I don't know what happened. It kind of read like when someone writes something in one language and then you put it through Google Translate and then put it through Google Translate a few more times and it just completely messes it up. That's what this felt like reading. So that was really weird. Anyway, other than that, there wasn't really any interesting trivia about this episode except for the fact that the monster comes from a completely different episode than the one whose plot they were adapting. Anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on Trial by Fire. Hope you enjoyed this. See ya.